Claude Plays Pokémon and Gemini Plays Pokémon are two projects which test the capabilities of LLM reasoning and vision, but neither of them open source their code or tooling. The Anthropic developer of Claude Plays Pokémon made a starter project with memory poking, route names, Pokémon names, and state extraction, but it's not what they're actually running the test on. The problem with not having a shared codebase is that one agent can be given a bunch of extra information and tools that make it better at the game. The dev behind Gemini Plays Pokémon spent a bunch of time helping it better understand the game, and with that help, Gemini was able to complete Pokémon Blue in 813 hours. It's not really fair to say that Gemini 2.5 Pro was able to beat the game and Claude is stuck walking in circles at Mount Moon, because they weren't being given the same information to reason from. And I think people want a fair head-to-head. So I made LLM Plays Pokémon, an open source web UI and LLM interface that supports any model that uses the OpenAI tooling, such as Groq, Claude, Gemini, OpenAI models, or even local models through LLaMA or LM Studio. The agent is provided a screenshot from the emulator with a grid overlay and a minimap of their currently loaded area. The minimap shows walkable tiles, their current position, doors, stairs, and ladders. The agent is also provided with some information directly extracted from memory, such as its position, facing direction, party status, map ID, things like that. From the screenshot and game data, it's then instructed to create a summary of its reasoning from the current game state and choose an action, such as left, right, up, down, A, B, start. It can chain multiple actions together or also touch the screen at a given grid position, which will trigger a pathfinder to get inputs that would move it there. For the record, anything outside of just the main game screenshot I would consider cheating. Data directly extracted from memory and the minimap both drastically improve the performance of the LLMs, but I would consider them cheating because a 6-year-old could easily handle beating Pokemon with just the screen. Hopefully with better prompting and maybe a little extra information given to the agent, it will be able to progress more efficiently through the game.
Post benchmarks!
I have a built-in benchmarking system which can restore from a save state and continue from there, so that all models will have the exact same starting position. It also allows you to set a limit of actions that the model is able to take before checking if the condition is fulfilled. In this clip, you can see Gemini 2.5 Flash versus O3 versus Claude 4 Sonnet. At the time of recording this, O3's API pricing went down by 80%, so it came in line with these cheaper models. The most expensive benchmark to run here was actually Claude Sonnet, which performed the worst. These models are given the exact same save state, system prompt, and information to interact with the game. The winner of this bench is Gemini 2.5 with 132 actions to complete the gym, O3 with 150 actions, and Claude failed by timeout at 300 actions. My development was done with Gemini 2.5 Flash because it was the least expensive at the time, so it does have a bit of an edge over the competition because it's what I was using to refine the prompt for its ability to progress. Next up is 3 open source models, Qwen 2.5 Vision 72B, Gemma 3 27B run locally on my computer, and LLaMA 4 Maverick. None of these were able to complete the game, but Qwen 2.5 definitely had the best performance, and even the 32B running locally on my computer made significant progress and outperformed both Gemma 3 and LLaMA 4. Given a larger budget of actions, I think Qwen 2.5 VL 72B would have been able to complete the benchmark maybe 30 out of 100 times, because it did get to Groq but ran out of actions. Gemma 3 definitely having problems with navigation, and LLaMA 4 never entering the gym, much like Claude Sonnet 4 did in the paid test. Tokens per minute vary based on the model that you're using and the tick speed that you use. At the default, I have a speed limit of 13 seconds per tick, which is about 4.5 ticks per minute. It uses roughly 20,000 tokens per minute, or 1.5 million tokens per hour. The message history is cleaned up, and a summary of the previous actions is created at an interval of every 15 messages, but you can also modify this. For the Gemini Plays Pokémon guy, he's unaffiliated with Google, so from my estimates, with input and output tokens combined, let's say that it's about $12 per million output tokens, with input and vision understanding being factored in. If his setup is similar to mine at about 1.2 million tokens per hour, it probably cost him well over $10,000 to run his benchmark for 800 hours. Hopefully they gave him some credits. Adding support for Gen 2 games like Pokemon Silver and Pokemon Gold, or Gen 3 like Ruby and Sapphire, is the reason why I used MGBA as the emulator in the first place, because it can play Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. If the models were better at understanding the game without all the additional tools, we could just load up the other ROM and it would be able to give you the inputs. But because we need to extract the location coordinates, minimaps, and things like that, Gen 2 and 3 are still unsupported. Thanks for watching. I might upgrade this project in the future, but probably not. And newer models are always getting released. I'm sure that the performance of Claude would have been improved had I refined the prompt for it instead of the Google models. And ultimately, I just wanted something like this to exist, so here it is.